All right, welcome to this week's Points and Miles report from Traveling on Everyday Spend. We got a lot of things to cover, and I don't want to waste any of your time. So let's just jump right into the agenda that we've got for today. Just a second here. We've got, so we're going to obviously cover the September credit card intro bonus offers, which we have a few new ones, transfer bonuses, as well as points and miles opportunities. Then we're going to jump into JetSmart's loyalty program, which is actually going to be American Advantage, which is interesting. Then we're going to roll into Wells Fargo's new transfer partner, which is Virgin Atlantic, and we'll touch on that a bit. Then we're going to head out to the Maldives and Bora Bora to talk about a couple of new resorts that are one that's already open and one that's forthcoming. Then we're going to talk about redeeming Alaska miles for Oman Air and some good opportunities there that you have to kind of pay attention to that we'll talk about. Then we're going to talk about if Citi and American Airlines are going to become an exclusive relationship and kick out Barclays. So we'll talk about why they're even looking at that, and what's the impact. Then we're going to talk about the first lounge at Chicago Midway ever, which I found very interesting. And I have a few tidbits on some similarities between that and two other airports that have high traffic that don't have lounges. Then we're going to talk about SkyTeam and Eurostar joining together and talk a bit about that, especially if you've never heard of Eurostar. Then, of course, we're going to jump into a deep dive on assigned seats on Southwest and more. They released a lot of information today. There's still a lot more that we need to know, but I think we can start kind of planning out what things are going to look like with Southwest. And then we've got Built October Rent Day, some different facets to it this month, as well as some oldies but goodies that we need to talk about so that you are fully prepared for Rent Day. So I look forward to bringing that to you, and want to say thanks to Xavier. Thanks for stopping in, sir. Always appreciate your patronage of stopping through. So let's talk about the credit card offers that are ending soon. Most of these we've talked about before, from the American Express Gold Card, with the November 6th date, with the 100,000 points plus 20% back on the statement credits. We also have the Marriott Bonvoy cards, Bevy and Brilliant, that are still going to be available till October 2nd. So that is next week. So if you are looking at potentially those cards, now is the time to do it. Don't wait to the last minute. And then we obviously have the Delta program credit cards for both personal and business that are going to be available. And I did a talk about that, I think, in last week's live stream. I'm definitely a person that is a fan of Delta. And between my wife and I, we have the platinum as well as the gold cards. So definitely something to be able to look at for those. If you're interested, many of those are best welcome offers ever, or at least very close to it. Then we have the Hilton cards with Amex, the Honors card, the Surpass card, as well as the Aspire, that have some very good deals for that you may want to take a look at. That one is all the way till January 8th, so you have a lot of time to determine what, if any, would be best for you. Then we have the business cards. We have the Hilton Honors business card through January 8th, which provides 175,000 points. Higher spend, though, of course, because it's a business card. And then we have the Marriott Bonvoy Business, which has that 5 free night awards for $8,000 worth of spend for 6 months, to be spent within 6 months. So that is an outstanding offer, especially on the Bonvoy Business, for you to consider. Then Barclays, we still have the Wyndham credit cards available with a slightly higher welcome bonuses that you might want to look at. We talked about them being possibly a little bit of an undervalued and underused point system within the recent live stream that I'll make sure to put a link on if you missed it. Then we've got Chase, and I'm highlighting the ones that are new as of today. So if you're a Disney fan, the Disney Visa with no annual fee and the Disney Premier Visa with the $49 annual fee has higher statement credits. So we are now at $200 statement credit for $500 worth of spend on the Disney Visa, no annual fee. And then you'll get $400 statement credit if you're spending $1,000 in the first 3 months. So maybe something to look at if you're a super Disney fan. Then we also have the Aeroplan card, a $95 annual fee, but you can actually get up to 100,000 miles. But unfortunately, they're in two tranches. You've got one where it's 75,000 miles for $4,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months, which is a very nice offer. Then you can get another 25,000 miles if you have $20,000 worth of spend in the first 12 months. That's where you would have to really look at where, especially if you're a person that doesn't mind getting multiple cards with $20,000 worth of spend, you could really rack up a lot of different welcome bonus offers versus getting an additional 25,000 miles out of the Aeroplan card. So if it's something you're interested in, take a look at that. But that is a recent change that came up today. And then, of course, the city with the Advantage and the Premier, Wells Fargo with the Choice credit cards, and then we just had the Air France KLM credit card from Bank of America last week. Now, as far as transfer bonuses, we don't have a lot more left because we're here at the end of the month, of course. But if you do have some travel that you're looking at doing, then there may be some places for Amex with their Aer Lingus, British Airways, and Iberia, 30% through the 30th. Hilton, 30% through the 30th. Capital One has 20% on Air France KLM of 20% through the 29th. And then Chase came out with a new one last week for Marriott at 50% through November 15th. Once again, none of these are groundbreaking, but it can be a nice cherry on top if you were already planning a trip. So consider taking a look at that. And then as far as the points and miles opportunities, not anything new from what we've talked about, but still very good opportunities with Air Canada Aeroplan, where if you are purchasing more than 25,000 points or miles, you'll get an 80% bonus on that. That would bring that cents per point down to 1.4 cents. Once again, these are just baselines, but that's a very good deal if you're short of miles and you can really, especially if you can find a really good deal. But it's not, once again, it's not historic. So don't necessarily buy miles just on the off chance. And then leading hotels of the world will be ending tomorrow for that program. To if you have any purchases, that one only has the one transfer partner, which is Citi at 5-1. And then Tap Portugal miles, we talked about that last week. Not a lot of miles to be able to get purchased if you needed them. Once again, not groundbreaking, even at 100% bonus on that, but it could be something if once again if you were already looking at that. And then lastly, we have the Wyndham Rewards through October 21st to be able to purchase at 25% discount or bonus rather. So let me touch on a couple of last minute news items that I saw. So we now have Hawaiian and Alaska miles. You can now transfer miles between both of them. That is now live. I'll make sure to have a link that I'll put in the description after the show. That was something that came out a little bit later today. But it's all at 1-to-1 as we've talked about before. So if you've got Hawaii miles and you want to look at moving them, you can. The other item that came out from Frequent Miler, though, which we don't know yet, and we need to see what happens. They, one of their people actually went on to American Express because we talked about that now American Express was going to be a player because you could transfer your membership reward points to Hawaiian, and then you could choose to transfer your Hawaiian to Alaska. But at the time they did that today, every other transfer option was available to work, but not Hawaiian. It had a error message that they weren't able to transfer. And then they actually chatted with American Express and did the transaction, but then it got reversed and refunded. So we don't know yet if that was just a technical issue with Amex, or are we potentially, unfortunately, going to find that something gets done with Hawaiian that prevents transfers of points, because we never really heard if American Express was going to be part of that kind of roundabout deal that we were looking forward to. So I didn't have a chance to try it. I probably will try to do it afterwards or see if there's some more information. But that's something of concern if you were looking at that being a possibility. Then the second item is that we ended up getting um, new legislation proposed by Dick Durbin from Illinois, and we've talked about him before as far as the Credit Card Protection Act, where we've obviously got some concerns of how that may impact us with our points and miles. Well, this legislation was basically protecting your Points Act, and it's a lot of different things to basically prevent airlines was the focus to not have their miles expire, to provide notification a certain amount of period of time in advance before any kind of devaluation. And so there's about 5 or 6 items, but once again, I just saw that at the before getting on. The two things that would come to mind is for me, and I'd be interested in y'all's thoughts. One is that I think it's obviously sounds good on the surface for the consumer, for the person that is the lay person that deals with points and miles, to be basically protect them. But anytime that you have something like this, as I've mentioned before, two things for me come to mind. One is that essentially for every action comes an equal reaction. So that's going to put some issues or some pressure on the airlines of how they do their points, and the fact that what they might have to do as far as devaluation notice, as well as the fact of having to keep them open for with no expiration date. We might see some pressure on that. And secondly, any of us that spend time doing this as that hobby are going to end up benefiting, because we're going to find the different loopholes and different things that may be able to work, and so we benefit. We probably will lose out a little bit if this was to go, but we don't know anything about it yet. There's so many different things out there related to that legislation. We're going to have to see. It sounds good on the surface, but we'll have to take a look at that. But those are two things that to take a look at as information continues to come out on it. But let's talk at the JetSmart's loyalty program and using American Airlines Advantage program. So I had never heard of JetSmart. JetSmart is actually a budget airline based out of Chile in South America. And so when you're flying JetSmart and you book directly through JetSmart, you'll be able to earn American Advantage miles and Elite Status loyalty points. And those features are live right now. Now, previously, this only occurred because there is a relationship. This only occurred on flights that were code shared, flights that were booked through American. So this is not brand new, but it's brand new as far as being able to book directly through JetSmart and earning those points. Now, the mileage redemption on JetSmart will not start until later this year, so we don't know what that's specifically going to look like. As far as thoughts, a little bit of information on JetSmart. They fly over 80 flights daily on average to 28 cities throughout Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Ecuador, Paraguay, Peru, and Colombia. Now, American actually bought a 35.4% stake in JetSmart back in 2022. Mileage is actually earned based on the cost of the ticket. So it is inclusive of the base price as well as the carrier imposed fees. And so when you look at this, it might be immediately like, well, this is not something that you normally see. But we actually have two recent cases. We have Finnair that obviously took the Avios program as its loyalty program. And then we now have Fiji that is going to also have American Airlines Advantage program as their loyalty program. So we are seeing where some of this happens. I personally, and I once again be interested in you all's thoughts. I would think that this does a disservice to your brand, of not being able to create your own loyalty program, even if it might be a little light, versus just essentially contracting it out to bigger names and bigger brands. But there must be something to it. I'm just not necessarily aware of of losing the identity of your brand a bit would be a concern to me on it. So, but that is what we have with JetSmart's loyalty program. And so take a big look here. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for Fashion Forward for stopping through. And John, good to see you. Yuri, appreciate you stopping through. And scrolling down real quick. Um, let's see. Do you have any cards with Barclays? Uh, how are they as a bank credit card issuer? I do not have any Barclays credit cards. I did try to apply through for a business card from them when I already had business cards with Amex and with Chase, but I actually was getting really scrutinized on on revenue with business and such, and I don't really have a full-fledged business, which has been the beauty of business cards with American Express or Chase. So I unfortunately cannot provide direct um, personal experience. I've seen, at least for them, that a little bit tougher on the personal credit. That if you have a lot of credit going on, that you might run into some issues. But I think that almost with anybody with a bit of proper planning and a good credit score, I think that anybody can get a certain credit card. Now, once again, you'd have to do a little bit more planning with Barclays from what I've read, as far as making sure that you are making sure to keep your utilization rate down, as well as not having opened up new cards recently. So that is my 2 cents. I'm sorry I don't have more information on Barclays personally, but that would be the part that I would end up having on that. And Yuri's in City as well. Um, are transfers between HA and AS already available? And yes, talked about that. They are available, and I'll have the link for the page on that uh, for it. Oh, Yuri was able to answer that he has Priceline, Banana Republic, in a number of cards. So thanks. That's the beauty of everybody being able to share information, so that people can be able to learn from each other on this. So thanks very much for providing your thoughts, Yuri. And got a few cards before that. So I wanted to make sure to have that out for everybody that they see that. And then we've got Wells Fargo's transfer partner, Virgin Atlantic. So as far as I'm seeing and what I was feeling initially was that when Wells Fargo talked about doing points and miles, I had a lot of excitement about it. I thought they was going to really almost kind of mirror as much as they could what they have with Bilt. But we've seen that growth has been very slow, and we haven't seen a lot of that so far. But we do get Virgin Atlantic Red, one-to-one transfer, of course, valued at 1.4 cents per point. That's not bad. And obviously, Virgin has long been an option for flying Delta at reduced points. But of course, you always have to be careful if you're going to be flying to the UK because of their taxes and fees. That can definitely be an issue. As far as thoughts, so right now you have 7 transfer partners, 6 airlines, 1 hotel. But the reality is you don't really have 6. You really only have 4, because Aer Lingus, British Airways, Iberia all use the same avios. And there's only very little differences of using those avios between those 3. So I group them as one. Then you have Air France, Avianca, and then Virgin. And then Choice Hotels is your one hotel. And only the Autograph and the Autograph Journey earn Wells Fargo points. There's a lot more that they need to be doing. I think a lot of people have been very patient of them getting some things going on, but I mean, obviously, it's not costing me any money on my card to wait to see what they may do, but I don't spend much on the autograph that I just got, changing from the active cash to that. I won't really be spending on it until I can see that we're going to actually get some better transfer partners. So that'll be something we'll have to kind of keep an eye on for that. And I see Mr. Kukul read that there are better odds as applying as a sole proprietor than as a LLC. That goes back to the question with Barclays. So thanks for sharing that. So let's look at moving out to the Maldives. We've got a new Hyatt Regency that is set up for to get done over there in late 2027. And so the growth of lodging has been growing, which has really been surprising. Hyatt announced that there'll be a new Hyatt Regency called the Hyatt Regency Samara Fushi Maldives. It's going to be their third resort there in the Maldives, but with the Park Hyatt Maldives, Hadaha, and the Alila Kothafuru Maldives. So once again, this will be opening up in 2027. What is interesting about this is that it's on a 24-acre property that will have 130 beachfront, treetop, and overwater villas, all with private pools. They'll have a sunset bar, a beach club, a Japanese restaurant, and an all-day dining option. They'll also have a Regency Club so that it will be available to Hyatt Globalists as well as club level customers. And it's about a 25-minute speedboat ride from the MLE airport. This resort is going to be located on North Mali Atoll, which is known for diving and snorkeling, and it's very close to the surfing at Pasta Point and the Sultans. We do not know the pricing and the potential point redemptions yet, but it should represent the most affordable option of the three, of course. And that may be something that can fit well with the Hyatt points that we earn. Sorry, let me get back. Then we actually have the Westin Bora Bora that's actually now open there. And I thought this was a really interesting property. So it's the Westin Bora Bora Resort and Spa, and it's been highly anticipated. And once I tell you a little bit about it, you'll understand why. It is a remodeled and rebranded resort there. The Westin Bora Bora will have the largest collection of overwater bungalows in Bora Bora with 128 of them, which is shocking to me. In addition to those bungalows, they'll have 14 beach bungalows, and it's going to have the largest swimming pool in Bora Bora. Cash rates are starting at $1,000 per night, and that's off peak. But Bonvoy points can start in the range of 70 to 85,000 points. And it's going to qualify for the stay for five, pay for four to get some more mileage out of those points. Now, keep in mind that when paying with those points, you're still going to need to be prepared for the taxes. And a 5-night stay can be around $550. So, but still a pretty relatively fair price to pay for that point value compared to the cash rate. So something to keep in mind if you're looking at that part of the world. And then we've got redeeming Alaska miles for Oman Air, and this is a bit new. So Oman Air is expected to join One World later this year, but now we actually have access to redeem Alaska mile points for Oman Air. Now the booking can be done right through the Alaska Airlines website or the mobile app, and it follows the same model of being distance-based. So there are two award charts that would apply to Oman Air: the Europe, Middle East, Africa chart, as well as the Asia region part. Now, the stopover availability that normally comes with Alaska Mileage Plan will still be available with Oman Air, which could really make a business flight from Europe to Southeast Asia via Muscat only cost 75,000 miles one way in most markets. So it does represent some excellent opportunity with that mix. Now, unfortunately, Oman Air does not fly to North America, but flying from Europe could be a good option. Oman Air flies as far west as London and as far east as Manila, and they fly that 787 business class in the Apex suites, which are well regarded. So if you are from Europe in the European region or will be going there and really want to make a trip out to the Southeast Asia, this could be a good use of miles with your Alaska miles to use for Oman Air. So now let's take a look at, will Citi become the exclusive credit card provider for American? And I see Yuri ended up saying, I've seen Oman Air via Air Canada as well. So that's interesting. I what I had seen was that I knew they didn't come to the United States. I must admit, I appreciate you pointing that out. I was not aware if they did get to North America and maybe doing that. Well, okay, I understand what you're saying now via Air Canada as well. So that would make some sense. Was not aware of that. So thank you very much for sharing. So now, as far as Citi, what we're looking at is the American Airlines is in talks with Citigroup to make them the exclusive credit card provider. Now, since 2013, Barclays has had a relationship with American, which was at the time where they took over U.S. Airways. So the first question would be is why would they be looking at consolidating now versus any other time? Well, they expect that they're going to be able to boost their revenue if they focus on only one. One thing I was not really aware of was that the marketing channels that Citi was allowed to do versus Barclays. Barclays is only able to market as an on-flight solicitation, while Citi can use online, direct mail, and the airport lounges to market their credit cards. And it is reported that Citi's credit card holders are more profitable and have less default than Barclays, which I thought was a little bit interesting, especially since both of them are a bit tight as far as credit cards. But I did not expect that Barclays was going to be worse. Any renewal contract will likely be 7 to 10 years. Now, also, with when and if this would happen, their agreement would be subject to regulatory approval. So there could be issues if they try to do that as far as the concern of what would happen with the credit card holders through Barclays. So it may not be quick and clean as we've seen the regulatory aspect that we saw with Alaska and Hawaiian. Now, how lucrative are these credit card deals? Well, what they showed was that last year, Delta received nearly 7 billion with a B billion from Amex. And American received about 5.2 billion, despite the fact that American says it has the larger loyalty membership. So the belief is putting everything together should raise that revenue by Citi being exclusive. And apparently they are very interested. Citi is very interested in becoming that exclusive partner. So we'll have to see what ends up happening with that. Then we actually have the first lounge at Chicago Midway ever. And that is going to be the club at Midway, and it opens today. It is a 3,300 square foot lounge. It can only seat, unfortunately, 76 people. It's located between concourse A and B, and the lounge is located right after security. It is going to be open from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m., and you can access it through your priority pass or by purchase. Couple of thoughts. It's great to hear that that first ever lounge is going to be there, but it is relatively small, and Midway has a lot of activity. You can expect crowding. You can probably expect some waitlisting that would probably occur. Now, one tidbit that I read that I thought was interesting, prior to this lounge, the three airports with the most traffic without lounges was Chicago Midway, Dallas Love Field, and Houston Hobby, and all three are the biggest Southwest hubs. Obviously, Southwest does not deal with lounges, but hopefully, maybe that they will look at these other airports in Texas we'll look at that possibility of working with getting a lounge in there. But that is something to be able to look at. And I see you're in the club, and yeah, there are very few clubs that are not mediocre, at least for anything I've read or seen. So I agree. And my airport has no lounges at all. And for my airport, we just got an escape lounge. I think it's only been 1 year. But before then, no lounges other than a USO lounge, but nothing else there. So I definitely feel that pain for that you've been feeling. So now let's take a look at SkyTeam and Eurostar. So this is going to be a relationship where Eurostar has signed a MOU to join SkyTeam as the first non-airline. Now, this partnership is expected to launch in the first half of 2025. The vision that obviously SkyTeam has is that customers will be able to create medium to long haul flight and rail trips on a single reservation while being able to benefit with SkyTeam benefits. As far as what Eurostar is, if you're not aware, it's a rail network offering multi-city journeys between the UK, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany. Now, we have limited information at this time, of course, but KLM has actually had a long-standing relationship with Eurostar. And because of that relationship, KLM actually reduced its flights between Brussels and Amsterdam because of the growth of Eurostar in that relationship of being able to take a rail versus flying. Now, this isn't the first relationship of this type. Star Alliance did a relationship with Deutsche Bahn back in 2022. More opportunities are always great. We'll have to wait for the details, though, on what points might look like, what the benefits may look like. So we'll have to see how that comes to pass. But something to consider. And James Hernandez, thank you so much for everything you're doing. Well, thank you so much, James. Really appreciate it. I really enjoy doing these live streams and getting as much information out to everybody. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Uh, you only have 12 gates, but well, I would hope that if you are literally going with a 50% increase, that hopefully they can look at bringing in a club of some sort to your place. I hope for the best for you. And then we've got, now let's take a look at Southwest. So assigned seats on Southwest, we had a lot of information come out today with this Southwest development that we started back in July. And so what we're basically seeing is obviously a complete change to the business model, and they need to boost revenue. And so what we learned today, because the annual investor day was today, and so that's why we got so much information out. So as far as the new assigned seating model, they're going to begin selling those assigned seats in late 2025, with the first flights having that seating model being in the first half of 2026. Now, remember, we found out there were surveys done that 80% of Southwest flyers preferred the assigned seating, and 86% of the customers who do not fly Southwest preferred this new model. So it is something that was screened for by their customers and potential customers. Makes perfect sense. As I've said before, I cannot stand flying Southwest, but I have to if I want to have a direct flight to BWI in Baltimore from where I live. I'm happy to see this for the times where I must fly Southwest, but this is all about money and getting the customers what they want to generate that revenue. Now, as far as the extra legroom seats, they are going to be timed at the same with with this new 2025-2026 timeframe. Now, the seats that for these extra legroom seats are going to offer up to 5 additional inches of pitch. And for people that I must admit, I had to look up, I've heard of pitch and I know what it means when I sit in it. But as far as the definition of it, it's the distance from a fixed point of one seat to the same spot on the seat in front of it, which determines your legroom. Now, approximately 1/3 of the seats will offer this feature, but likely it will be the seats will be part of a perk as for the A list and the A list preferred status benefits, that'll be included there, and we'll touch on that in a moment. So you will have the opportunity to pay for those seats, but they're going to try to include that, as we'll talk about shortly, if you do have that status with Southwest. As far as a new international partner, Southwest is really trying to improve their global connectivity. And so they're working on formalizing partnerships with international airlines. And its first partner that they've announced is Iceland Air. The initial launch is expected to happen in 2025, and their initial gateway will be BWI, Baltimore, Maryland. Now, Rapid Rewards members will eventually be able to use their points to book partner flights. But the one thing to note is that we're not really sure what the value is going to look like, because in their announcement, they did not just refer to as award redemptions. They talked about getaways by Southwest. Now, I may be reading too much into the wording, but if you don't use a simple phrase that everybody would easily understand and know what it means, then there may be some issue where it won't give us the kind of value that we may have expected. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that as this starts rolling out. Now, as far as the Rapid Rewards program, earning and redeeming Rapid Rewards points will remain unchanged. No blackout dates for redemptions. Now, there will obviously be some changes, but we don't know what those changes are going to be and how they'll tie to this new model. Now, as far as A-list and A-list preferred, if you're an A-list member, you'll be able to select standard legroom seats at booking, and then you could get the extra legroom seats within 48 hours of departure at no cost. If you're A-list preferred, you'll be able to select from all seats and book it for free. So if you have the A-list preferred, you'll be able to get the extra legroom seats at the time of reservation at no additional cost, and that's going to be the benefit that comes with it. And even if you're an A-list standard elite member, then if those seats are available within 48 hours of departure, you'll get the benefit of not paying additional money for that. Now, with credit card programs, we touched on that a little bit, of the concern of, as we've seen these very high, we have personal credit cards right now with the high welcome bonuses. So all of the current benefits of the card membership will remain in place until early 2025. In early 2025, Southwest says card members will learn how assigned seating will make being a credit card member even more valuable. So I think we can obviously see that there's going to be some benefit if you hold the credit card to getting maybe some better choices of uh, being able to get those assigned seating. We don't have specifics yet, though. And then lastly, bags will still fly free. Nothing will be changed, nothing on the horizon. It's something they talked about from the very beginning, and they've reiterated today that that doesn't change. So we did get a lot of information out. They got a lot of information out to us today, but we still need to wait to see for more details, because we obviously have a long run before we are going to be able to book those, almost a year before we're going to be able to book, in a year and a half before we are able to see it. So let's move to Bilt's October rent day. And there are some special differences in this month that we haven't seen before. So I want to make sure to be thorough with this for you all. Of course, the basics, all the multipliers are doubled on this rent day. 3x dining becomes 6x, 2x for travel becomes 4x, and it's 2x on everything else. Rent, 1x does not change. You have to make sure you get those 5 transactions done within your billing period and really maximize your rent day. If you're planning travel and you're trying to build bill points, do them when you're trying to do them this far ahead. Go ahead and look at doing them on rent day. Of course, the dining is an easy option, and then the 2x on everything else, I definitely use it for utilities and insurance that I'll look to be paying for on the first myself. So let's start looking at rent day. So we're going to have that rent free game show that always goes on. This month, it's Paris Hilton is going to be doing that. And you're going to really find a very big Hilton theme to all of this. So, top 10 players will be revealed as of 4 p.m. on the 1st and become rent winners up to $2,500. What Paris Hilton will also be doing is she'll be gifting a half a million Hilton Honors points to those top 10 winners as well. The next 600 members will get extra built rewards points, which has been the standard. Now, complimentary fitness add-ons, I normally make sure to touch on this, that these are not just rent day add-ons that are available to you. They're available all the time at those neighborhood fitness classes. So from Y7 Studio with the free mat and towel, Soul Cycle with the free shoe rental and bottle of water, and Cycle Bar with the free shoe rental. So make sure to take advantage of that if you're going to be using it. Then, as far as the Soul Cycle ride, that continues. 50 plus Soul Cycle centers are involved. The ride is 45 minutes. Complimentary bikes per rent day ride class will be available. You can book those starting at noon on September 28th. One rider will be selected to have their rent paid. Now, as far as the neighborhood dining program, a lot of times when we've talked about this, there's been kind of a set structure for the neighborhood dining. That's not the case this month, seemingly, at least from what I've looked at on my app. Now, the participating cities are Austin, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Los Angeles, Miami, Nashville, New York, Philadelphia, Phoenix, San Francisco, San Diego, and DC. Now, the reservations are starting at $100, 5,000 points, but they're really all over the place for that. So on September 27th at 11:50 a.m., if you're a platinum member and are interested in it, your window opens for 10 minutes. And then at 12 p.m., it's open to everybody else. These normally do sell out from what we've seen. So if you can see the restaurants that are available right now, how much they cost, see if there's one that you're interested in, and jump on that if you do have interest. Now, this is the difference that we're seeing this month. Targeted built benefits. So I don't know how they determine who gets targeted. I don't see anything on mine right now. And so there is a 10x points option per dollar on built neighborhood dining restaurants when you pay with a link card between September 26th and October 1st. So make sure to check your app, see if you have any emails regarding it. I have none. And since that window has opened as of today, I would expect that if you don't have anything in your mailbox or you see on your app by tomorrow, you probably did not get it. But has up to $500 spending. So that is a nice try that they're looking at for built benefits. And then there's a rent credit bonus, which is also a targeted promotion. And so you would receive a bonus credit towards your rent when you redeem built rewards points. And so you can see that we're looking at 0 to 1999 would be 0% bonus, $20 to 49.99 is 25% bonus, 50 to 99.99 is 50% bonus, and 100 to 199.99 is a 75% bonus. And if it's over $200, it's 100% bonus. It's interesting that they did that. I don't think that it's not a great thing, especially since we've obviously have lost the ability to get the bonus points in our normal spend on rent day. But make sure, once again, don't miss it if you do have that targeted offer. And then, as I mentioned, Hilton is the theme for this month. They have Hilton happy hour experiences where you can attend a built hosted happy hours day, happy hour period at certain Hilton locations across the country. Each happy hour will take place on October 1st, 2024 at 6 p.m. Tickets will be available for purchase at 12 p.m. on September 27th, tomorrow. If you go into your neighborhood dining and you look at those cities, you'll see some of those Hilton happy hour experiences listed as well. So if you do have an interest and you're in one of those cities, you might want to take a look at it. Now, the other item is a free Hilton Honors Gold status, which is not thrilling for most of us if you've already have gold status from your Hilton credit card or an American Express Platinum card. But let's talk about what it is. So on October 1st, Built Reward members, regardless of your level, can participate in a status match with Hilton Honors, and you'll get granted Gold Elite status through December 31st of this year. You do have to opt in. Just go onto your app. There's a one just to click on very easily. Now, any Built Reward member who stays 8 nights at the Hilton properties from now through December 31st, you'll get to keep gold status through March 31st of 2026. Now, if you are a blue, silver, or gold member and you stay 14 nights, you will actually earn diamond status through March 31st of 2026. Like I mentioned, you need to opt in between October 1st of 2024 and October 2nd of 2024. Now, the diamond status could be interesting if you already have hotel stays planned. Now, obviously, we all know that you can get diamond status from having the Hilton Aspire, but if you weren't prepared to spend that kind of money on the Hilton Aspire, and you do just happen to have 14 nights that might fit for a Hilton and the numbers are right, this could be a benefit. Not, like I said, not thrilling, but that's what we're working with on this. And yeah, this rent day is mediocre. I really thought that there was going to be some kind of transfer, but I think that we're going to start seeing where those transfers might be like every other month or every 2 months anymore. I think that fast and furious type of situation where we were seeing something every single month, I think that probably is a time of the past, unfortunately. Yeah, I feel the same way, Yuri. I do still spend on it, but it's not what I was hoping it would continue to be. Um, and I wish I had better thought on this, but I think that we're going to probably see something every now and again that's going to be great. What I'm hoping is that if they're not going to really give us some great rent days, that maybe they could look at um, expediting the possibility of doing mortgages on the rent. Now, obviously, I'm sure they're losing money on that, and and before they would do any type of mortgage type of situation, they would definitely have to restructure. They need to get more transactions. They need to get more money spent. But that would really, if they really want to get more people signed up, that would be something to consider. And of course, the people that are renting, my son has a bill card and rents and utilizes it constantly. So I think we may just have to accept what built is may be going forward. And I've talked about this on a video talking about, is it for the non-renter? And at that time, it was a no-brainer that it was going to be a great travel card, great points. Now it's not so great for the non-renter. So, but that's what we're kind of looking at for that. And then lastly, we've got the third and the final Virgin Voyages BOGO, buy one, get one free. We've seen this the last couple months. They've obviously been really trying to get people to get on a Virgin voyage. The exclusive benefits are the same as last month: $100 bar tab, unlimited premium Wi-Fi, 2 specialty coffees per day, priority boarding access to an exclusive cocktail event, complimentary laundry. The only two new things that they put in there, which unlimited group workouts, I would normally expect that to be the case on most cruises anyway. And then essential drinks, which I could not even tell you what it is. You have to book by October 2nd using the same access key, VV Built, which we've seen for the last 2 months. So a huge list to be able to look at on your app or on the website. But that's what we'd be looking at for that. And so I just want to make sure if anybody's got any questions, concerns, or thoughts in regards to it. And obviously, if you found any of this information beneficial and are not subscribed, please consider liking and subscribing. I do this live stream every week. Really enjoy being able to bring it and hopefully bring you some information that you may not have readily been able to see or be aware of, as well as videos that I'll be starting back up this upcoming week. So, but if no one has any questions or concerns, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a great evening.